It's like saying, I didn't take this policy to the last election, but in the meantime we've had all these deaths. Oh, well, we're not going to do anything about it. We'll just let people keep dying until the next election and we'll take it to the next election. Well, it's just not good enough. My name's Judy Ryan and I'm the Secretary for the Residents for Victoria Street Drug Solutions, which is North Richmond and Abbotsford in Victoria. I moved into Abbotsford in 2012, so this is my 6th year in the area. I lived in this area when I was a university student, and I loved the grungy element of the area, semi-industrial, it's close to the city, fantastic place to live. So we moved back here after many years in the country, and I always knew that it had a big drug injecting issue from when I was a student here, but I was pretty shocked when I came back how bad it was. So in my family, I have two of my sisters had a son each of them who had issues with drug dependence. And one of them actually died in Richmond. Rick injected in a toilet at McDonald's in Richmond in 2003, and he died there. And Ewan, who died in 1996, he was living in Brisbane at the time, but he also injected heroin and died in an apartment on his own. And I know both of those boys, beautiful blokes who are very missed in our family. They were just young. Ewan was 21 and Rick was 28, which is very young. And I know that if those boys had been supervised when they were injecting, they'd both be still alive. I know that. And I know in my family how much we've suffered because of the death of those two beautiful young men. It's changed our family, so I felt that this was one way that I could prevent other families having the tragedies that we did. And it was very distressing. You know, it's a great place to live, but it's very hard to live in an area where there are people that have got serious mental health issues, serious drug dependence, and so in 2016 there was local government election here in Richmond, and I decided to stand as an independent candidate in that election on the single issue of getting a trial of a medically supervised injecting centre in Victoria Street, which straddles Abbotsford and North Richmond. It was pretty scary to do that because it is a controversial issue. Anything to do with drug use, drug normalising is seen by some, particularly right-wing people, as trying to advocate for drug law reform, which I actually am now, but at the time all I wanted to do was save lives. One of the issues, of course, is the people that live nearby the centre, and a few of them are saying to us now, oh, we really support a medically supervised injecting centre, but we just don't want it in our patch, which is the NIMBY thing. But the reality is it's already happening in their front lawns, their laneways, their car parks, and we know from what's happened across the world, once you open the centre, people will go in there, they will use all those facilities, and people won't be coming home and finding to people injecting in near their mailbox. You know, that will take it out of those streets. I knew this was an issue, and like a lot of people, you say something's wrong, they should do something about it. And who is they? They is me. That's who they is. And I think it just hit me one day when I was saying, they should do something, the council, the state government, the police, the emergency services. And you say, no, it's me. Like, we are, as a community, politicians don't do anything altruistically. It's got to be pushed by the community, absolutely. Community has to say, this is a problem, this is impacting on our lives, this is what we think you should do about it, and go after it. It has been very political. Now, I know with the current Labor government, Dan Andrews, the Premier, was determined not to have this opened. But we, I believe, ran a campaign that said you have to do the right thing. The right thing is not allowing 34 people to die on the streets of North Richmond and Abbotsford in 2017. It's unacceptable. And do we have to wait for a politician's child to be one of those? Is that what it's going to take, you know? It just didn't make sense that you'd say, oh, it's not one of our policies, we'll make it one of your policies. And they did. So I'm very grateful for that. I mean, unfortunately, the Premier announced it in the end of October last year in 2017, and we're not opening for 8 months. Now, people have died in that 8 months. There'll be people that will die between now and when it opens in 3 months' time. But we're getting there. In the end, it's a difficult issue. It was never going to be easy. But the thought of being part of a community that set up a supervised injecting centre that saves people's lives is just, what's better than that? That's the bottom line, really.